We begin with a bombshell report involving the Republican nominee for Alabama's Senate seat. Accusations today that Roy Moore initiated a sexual encounter with a then 14-year-old girl and relationships with 3 other teenagers. Now, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says if the allegations are true, Roy Moore should take himself out of the race for the Senate. According to the reporting of the Washington Post newspaper, within the last hour, this all happened while Roy Moore was in his 30s, and the incident with the 14-year-old in 1979. The woman tells the Washington Post that Moore struck up a conversation outside a courtroom, offered to watch the girl while her mom went in for a custody hearing, and when they were alone, she reports that Moore asked her for her phone number. And days later, she says he picked her up near her house and, quote, drove her about 30 minutes to his home in the woods, told her how pretty she was, and kissed her. Then, on a second visit, she says, he took off her shirt and pants and removed his own clothing. The report goes on, he touched her over her bra and her underpants, she says, and guided her hand to touch him over his underwear. The report continues, I wanted it over with. I want it out, she remembers thinking. Please just get it over with, she's quoted as saying. Whatever this is, just get it over. The woman says she asked Roy Moore to take her home, and he did. The Post also reports 3 other women have now come forward in recent weeks to say Roy Moore pursued them. Each says Moore was in his 30s, and the women between 16 and 18 years old. Roy Moore's campaign officials say the allegations are not true. They're accusing the Washington Post of playing politics. In a statement they write, Judge Roy Moore has endured the most outlandish attacks on any candidate in the modern political arena. But this story in today's Washington Post alleging sexual impropriety takes the cake. National liberal organizations know their chosen candidate, Doug Jones, is in a death spiral, and this is their last-ditch Hail Mary. The Washington Post has already endorsed the judge's opponent, and for months, the Post has been engaged in a systematic campaign to distort the truth about the judge's record, his career, and derail his campaign. As I reported, the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, now says that Roy Moore should quit the Senate race if the accusations are true. But another prominent Republican, Senator John McCain, wants Moore gone now. Quoting, the allegations against Roy Moore are deeply disturbing and disqualifying. He should immediately step aside and allow the people of Alabama to elect a candidate they can be proud of. The news is breaking now, and Peter Ducey's on it live on Capitol Hill. Peter?
Shep, this accuser, who was 14 at the time and 53 years old now, is named Lee Korfman, and she says that Moore undressed and started inappropriately touching her and also tried to get her to touch him inappropriately. She also does accuse him of kissing her, but insists there was never any sexual intercourse. Still, the Moore campaign is calling this story, which is apparently from the late 70s, false, and they do suggest that it's only coming out now to help the Democrat in this race, Doug Jones. Part of their statement says this garbage is the very definition of fake news and intentional defamation. We have called a few phone numbers the Fox Brain Room says belong to the accuser here, Lee Korfman, but we have not been able to get in touch with her yet. Shep.
What else are we hearing from lawmakers this afternoon, Peter?
Nobody is defending Roy Moore in the Republican Party, Shep, on the Senate side. We do have some brand new sound, just a few minutes old, from Alabama's other senator, Richard Shelby, as well as Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, and they're basically saying that he should stop running if any part of this is true.
I don't know. It's a devastating, nasty story. If the revelations, if that's true, I don't believe there'd be any place for him in the U.S. Senate.
No. If there's any shred of truth, he ought to step aside immediately.
There are more than a dozen Republican senators now who say that Moore should step aside if these allegations are true. It seems like the list is getting longer by the minute. The Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, is among them. But remember, Moore ran his race in the primary and won on an anti-McConnell platform. And Moore still is likely going to be on the ballot, even if he was to step aside, because state law says no new ballots printed within 76 days of the election. If they were printed, Luther Strange's name can't go on it because he already lost this year, but he could theoretically be written in by voters. It's still early to tell, though, if that's something that's going to happen.